This video is sponsored by the Design Mechanism, the makers of Mythras. Mythras is a registered trademark of the Design Mechanism Inc., used with permission. All rights reserved.
Exactly.
And we are live. Just ignore them all saying have it off, have it off. There was the context of it.
The person saying have it off.
Was completely different. Hello, Chugawugga. Marky Mark says, can you please thank Chugawugga for me? He gifted me a sub in your channel.
No problem, Marky Mark.
Cool.
No problem at all.
Yeah, so you join us tonight for another adventure of Mythras. Mythras is a role-playing game when I take on the role of the GM, the Game Master, and these fantastic adventurers or players take on the role of different characters as they manipulate and journey their way throughout the campaign world, completing jobs, defeating evil, and generally being utterly and completely heroic. We left the group in an interesting position last week. But before I bring you up to date with that, I'm going to allow the players an opportunity for them to introduce who they will be playing tonight, while I get the levels correct for their voices. So off you go, Chugawugga.
Hi guys, I'm Chugawugga. I play Gulliver. He's young. Well, about 19 now. 18 now. He started off 17. He's scrawny and he's ginger. He's also the one of the spell users of the party. He's a sorcerer and he is in an order. His particular order is the Order of the Kraken, which is the blue order on Odis. They specialize in spells evolved around communication, transportation, and the other one, which I've forgotten what it is. He also has various cantrips, which he can cast, which are sort of like less powerful spells, based on the folk magic school in the Mythras. As a sorcerer, he has the ability to shape his spells by expending shaping points. He can change various things. He can change the range, the magnitude, the number of targets that it can affect. He can even combine several spells into a single casting. In one of the previous adventures, he was badly injured by. He likes to think it was the necromancer, but it might not have been. But until somebody tells him otherwise, it was the necromancer that actually injured him. He took a nasty spell based on the rack spell to his right leg, has maimed him slightly. He doesn't move around like he used to. He's not the spring lamb like he used to. He doesn't. Yes, he can't sprint, and his running is half movement, so that does affect him. And I shall pass on, because Mr. Pickles is just there nodding, so I'm going to pass on to Mr. Pickles.
I'm Mr. Pickles. I play Bartleby Fumus, our team's thieves, which is very similar to a cleric or other divine caster from more traditional RPGs. Bartleby worships Amriel, who's the goddess of one of the twin moons, the light moon, sky at night. Through her, he can perform miracles revolving around energy, healing, health, and light. the most part. So far, he's mostly used that to help his teammates remove disease, cure poison, put people's limbs back on, sort of, when they've been heavily cut, or removing throat punches to Hengist. But he doesn't really have much ability in combat, so he's a little bit of a lamb when it comes to the fights, whereas the rest of the crew are more dangerous. He's a font of knowledge, mostly for history and goblins and other less interesting monsters. And that's basically Bartleby. He was once a bard, and he has butchered hands now. And I'm going to pass on the torch to Medivac.
Right, thank you, Bartleby. I am Medivac, and I play Hasra Khan. He's from the land of Odes, so he hails from here. He's come down from the north to, he's lost his tribe, and he fell in with this crew here, and we were trying to stop Bartleby from dying. He is adept with his spear and scimitar. He's very athletic. And he's quite stealthy. He's a group's tracker as well. He also likes to forage for food and cook that food as well. He may be random where it turns out, but at least he tries, and sometimes it's edible. Yeah, that's it really at the moment. And so I'll pass it on to Longshanks.
Thank you, Medivac. Hi guys, I'm Longshanks CPG, and as always, I play the character Hengist. Now, he's the complete polar opposite of Chuggerwugger's character, Gully. He's probably the oldest man in the party. He's so unmagical, it's ridiculous, but he makes up for that in his size, strength, and close combat fighting ability, apart from, as Mr. Pickles mentioned, when he got throat punched by a mutated miner by Chaos. And now, although Bartleby did manage to save him and save his life, he now sports a rather nice scar, sort of like down the side of his throat, from where the creature sort of like tried to rip his throat out with its claws. He tends to fight in heavy armor, which is emblazoned with his family crest, because he's noble. He has also currently bought a house in Lindowe. Not quite in the fancy district, but very close near to the fancy district. And he has probably invited everyone round for a meal at some point, making sure that Hasra wipes his shoes before he comes in. And I will pass it on to Inmills, because I think he's about ready.
I'm bored ready. I was just chatting elsewhere. That's what I was doing. I was just making sure, because I spent the time during the week updating your character sheets that appear down below me, because I suddenly realised last week that your up-to-date skills weren't actually on them. So as we're talking now, in the middle, there's a sort of like cycling round. And then, so I have updated all those, and I've also put in some ones about the rules, etc., as we go along. So, but once we go to
busy.
Say again, sorry.
I said you have been busy.
Well, I suddenly noticed last week when they were going up that they weren't up to date. But it was really interesting for me as well, because going back to see what you had improved and what you hadn't improved. From your skills,
that depends on the previous adventure, doesn't it? If there was a whole load of magic in the previous adventure, all of a sudden everybody's putting points into willpower.
Well, yeah, but the interesting one was Bartleby's healing, because his healing didn't improve. Is that right?
I believe so.
Yeah. So, and first aid. Did anybody improve first
I
aid?
didn't.
Oh, it's because is first aid a standard skill?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't put standard skills on. I only put professional skills. So when Hasra's comes up, he only has 2 professional skills. The other thing that I was reading about, which I thought was really, really interesting over the week, I was looking at this social interaction and how to sort of like do the social interaction in the game. But the thing that I read that I thought was really ingenious is that any sort of verbal communication that skill is capped by your native language skill. So if your native language skill is 40, then you can't have influence when you're doing it verbally at 76. Because can you see your native language doesn't allow you to go. So it's a bit like using you can't use the words that because your native language isn't that high. And I thought that's a really interesting, cap procedure. So yeah, Marky Mark says that makes sense. Say again, sorry.
Can you augment it with literacy then?
Native language is not. It's either used to understand somebody's spoken. It's not written. It's just spoken, and you never use it to augment. You either use it to understand what somebody else has said to you, or you use it as a capping skill on something else. So somebody might have, say for example, you're doing some haggling and you're using your influence skill or your merchant or your commerce skill. Even if that's 96, it is capped by your native language.
In real life, your native language skills are a lot higher than mine, because when you speak to me, sometimes I have to Google what the words are.
Yeah, that's what the rules are reflecting, in the sense that if there's an argument going, somebody with a higher level of influence is likely to be using bigger words that will then actually intimidate, because the person won't actually.
I have to do that with my white deaf character as well.
Yeah.
Don't know what that means, Google.
Oh, you wait till mine comes on then. Gosh.
So just to let you know, on Thursday at 7 o'clock, we're going to be playing Mythras again. But one of the great things about the Mythras system is that it can be adapted to different eras. So it can be done. There's a whole set of rules for space. There's a whole set of rules for spies and time travel and vampire wars. And one of the ones that we're going to be playing on Thursday is called the White Death. And it's featuring a group of tactical teams, I think is probably the best word for them. They're agents, they're FBI, MI6 sort of like type of people, and they have to investigate a polar settlement or camp that is having some problems. But that's actually based in 1980s. So, for example, they have 9mm pistols. I think does somebody have an assault rifle? And I think somebody has an assault rifle as well. And so it's completely different era, but we'll be playing that on a Thursday night, just for about 4 sessions, hopefully, if they can get it solved by that. So it'll be
Cold War, isn't it?
It's Cold War, most definitely.
Odd Truman and
yeah. So, and I've given the characters, the players, pre-generated characters, which and we did it randomly. We put their names in alphabetical order, the characters' names in alphabetical order, and then matched them across. But I made sure there's a lot of accents in there, so I'm looking for.
Yes, thank you, Imwell.
I'm looking forward, and if you can't make it on the night, I will actually record them, and they'll be up on YouTube afterwards.
I'll just say my accent at the moment, because I've been practicing it, because I haven't had a computer. At the moment, sounds like a cross between Winston Churchill and Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah, and if you haven't got a token for me, please make sure you get it to me.
Who hasn't done tokens?
Oh.
Was mine okay, or is it too futuristic?
It's a bit futuristic, but I might do some. If I can't,
I've got half metal face or something.
It's a spaceship in the background.
I'm just looking at the cameras, Medivac. We can see from just your chin upwards. Is your camera sort of like?
Or has your chin grown?
Yeah, well, yeah, it looks like you could just sort of like see from here upward. So you might just actually take it back. No. And I was
Too
just,
much meat.
I was just mentioning in chat before we started that Longshanks missed the memo to wear glasses tonight.
Yeah.
Everybody
Bear with
else,
me.
everybody else has their glasses on.
Can I just say as well, Inwas, that your pop filter may not be doing the best job where it's currently positioned.
My what? My pop theatre.
The pop filter.
Yeah, that's because
I've got a pair for you. Don't
that's
worry.
because there isn't one on.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's near tinkling behind you.
That's too much of a spoiler for Thursday. I'm not wearing them.
Oh no, that is my podcasting mic.
Oh, right.
It's a Rode mic that comes out and sits underneath. Down there is a Podcaster Pro that it's connected to. Right, so let's have a quick recap on what's happening or what's happened. So essentially, for players and viewers, the party of 4 were hired by somebody who was obviously of higher class and status, who was trying to be rather unconvincingly a ruffian. He had bodyguards with them, and Gulliver did project sense afterwards and followed them back to the higher place, the hill where all the social class live in Lindowe. His name was Krytos, and he was being the there was a trouble with cargo and ships, and cargo was going missing, or there was something he wasn't happy with the crew, and he hired you to guard a shipment that had come in on the Herald, and you were going to be paid after a wonderful influence roll and by great social skills. I think you actually got up to 1,000 silver coins. Yeah. Plus, you were going to be given 100 silver coins for every burglar, thief, robber that you kept alive, and he also gave you 50 silver pieces for any supplies that you needed, not being alcoholic. You did some going round. I think in last week's adventure, Gulliver had an encounter with Captain Seatide, who was a captain of the Wave Crest, which is an old ship that they came in on, and had some success there. And Bartleby had rather limited success in a social situation when he nearly got beaten up, but using his quick wits and influence skills and whatever, he managed to get out without being beaten up. But he did lose his purse, or his pouch with all his silver in. The party then met Krytos, who came down with 2 bodyguards and took them down to the docks. He had, quite remarkably, rented out all, so like 3 warehouses round where the Herald was meant to be docking, for the party to choose which one they wanted to be in, whether or not they want to be upstairs, downstairs, in the ladies' chamber, wherever, together, separate or anything. Gulliver put some of his new alarm spells down, which meant that if anybody passed over them, he would get a tingle down his back, and they settled down to watch what would happen. Shortly after the 10th bell, which was about 10 o'clock at night, a woman arrived with food for the 2 crew members that were left on board the Herald. She then left, and shortly after that, the crew members collapsed. Then a party arrived carrying a wagon, like a wheelbarrow wagon, 4 ruffians and what appeared to be somebody a little bit higher status that had sort of like a cowl on. They went up to the boat. The ruffians, and I forget who saw this, but I remember telling you it, they weren't just picking out all the crates. Yeah, they were looking underneath things, and it was obvious that they were looking for certain crates. They then piled up the wagon and headed back into the slums. The party made hot pursuit of them. casting glowing shields and lighting torches as they went through the slums. And we left it at a time last week when the party had once again joined up, torches had been lit, and you were in the middle of the slums, not completely aware of which way the group had gone, and you had come to, I think, a T-junction. So I'm going to move you across. Hi, Electric Messiah. How are you doing?
Hi, Electric Messiah.
So just
we're separated.
So this was their this was the Sea Tide, the Herald box, and then they had just come on to this map. Now, just to let you know, what they can see is slightly different to what you guys can see. So if I click on Mr. Bartleby there, that's what he sees. Okay, it's got dynamic lighting on roll 20, which is fantastic, and so their torchlight lights the way. So that's what
pay for that.
I could recognise a Gabriel Picard map set. Yes, it is. It is. It is then burning, and it's absolutely fantastic. Pay for what? Sorry, Chihuahua.
Dynamic lighting.
Yeah, it's part of my master. That I get that. Plus, I get the blind rolls.
All right. Yeah.
You have to have it for that as well. And so Hengist sees something slightly different. So forth and so on. So the players are not watching the stream. So, and that's why people
they shouldn't be.
Oh yeah, at least they shouldn't be. And that's why sometimes people will say, "Can you pass it on to people?" Because I can see the chat, but they can't necessarily see it. So currently, just a recap for you guys as well, Gulliver, you had been projecting self, I think, or something, and
I've been projecting my sense. Yeah, I had. The project sense spell allows me to travel a lot quicker, but only in my. I basically have to close my eyes, and I lose my.
It's a bit like astral projecting in Shadowrun.
But it means that I can then project it. But unfortunately, it is limited to the same restrictions as my sight was.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have a torch or any form of light, as soon as I got to the edge of the where Hengist was carrying the
you were over here.
The thing, I could no longer see. I couldn't sort of like catch up to them and report back. So
Gulliver's down here. He has a torch lit. So he's coming through the streets of the slums of Lindowe, down here. Up here, Bartleby is here acting rear guard, like he does so often. Hengist has a shield of Amriel up, which is nice glow, which is attached to his shield. Which means that Bartleby, you're no longer in control of it. Hengist controls that himself. And then Hasra is up here. These little purple lines are doors. You can see just here underneath these. I'll just remove one of them. You can see the little steps just there. And this house here. So this one here that you could just on the end, this was the one that you had arranged to meet Krytos in once dawn broke. Okay, so just to let you know, and if you remember the doors for that I showed you, there was one here and then there's one here as well. Okay, so without further ado, let's do some role playing. Let me get rid of the monsters that you
missed,
disposed of. Right, I am. Let me just get my book of quests open. Oh, sorry. The only other thing that you, Bartleby, you found out an important piece of information in the tavern, didn't you?
He did.
Can you remember what that was, Mr. Pickles?
It was somebody's name.
Nine Fingers?
Yeah. You had got the impression that the goods might have been going to somebody called Nine Fingers. Okay then. Get rid of that. Their stats are so high. They're absolutely massive. They go over to sort of like 2 pages.
Oh, I hate it when that's...
Okay then. So Hasra's moved. Hengist is there. Bartleby's there. Gulliver's down at the back. So yeah. Over to you people. What would you let's start with Hasra, because you are sort of like in between 3 doorways.
Yes. Well, what's here? What's up this way? I can see with my torchlight. Is that a way through, or is it just
well,
a dead end?
The rocks are a bit of rock that goes down. So this is C. And,
it's a yes, right, okay.
And that's like another jetty going out.
Yes, yeah, I remember you saying no. Yeah. So I'm ignoring the doors. I'm going to be moving straight up north.
Okay then. So that's absolutely fine. So Hengist, what's going to be your plan of action?
Hengist is he's recognised that this place on the left is the safe house, so he's going to move to the far end of the safe house up this way, see what he can see.
Sorry, just 1 sec.
So he's gone straight north, up the front of the
okay then.
safe house.
So if you just leave your characters where they are, because everybody's going to be moving at the same time. So Hasra's going north, Hengist is going north. Yes, Bartleby, what's going to be your plan of action?
I'm following Hengist so I can keep an eye on him in case he needs healing.
Okay then, that's absolutely fine. And Gulliver, what's your plan of action?
So Gulliver knows that he's going to continue on the path until it comes to the cross, the T junction, and he knows that Hasra and Bartleby and Hengist went off to the left. He wants to be heading to the right, and at each junction that he comes to, he wants to be stopping, and he wants to be listening to see whether or not he can actually hear the cart, or whether or not he can see whether, if they've got some type of light, he might be able to see it, in the distance. So he wants to be sort of like going up to a junction, running up to it, but then stopping. His movement is less than everybody else. He only moves at sort of like 12 meters, but whenever he gets to sort of like a turn-in or crossroads or anything, he wants to be stopping, keeping quiet and listening, see whether or not he can. Because if I remember rightly, the cart had like a squeaky wheel.
It did, yes.
That so he's sort of like going to be stopping, and he's going to be moving his head, sort of like listening down each of the pathways that he can see whether or not he can actually pick up any of the noise, or whether or not he can see any type of light source of them, moving in the distance or whatever. Because he's reckoning that they must also have, maybe they had a hooded lantern when they.
Okay. That's not a problem. So let me move everybody round, and you just roll your perception score, Gulliver. It will be a hard roll, just so you know.
I would like to use a point of luck to swap those numbers around.
Yeah. Okay, then so that'll be a 16. Yeah, so you get to this first sort of like junction. You stop and you listen carefully. You can't hear anything of the wagon at all. You can hear straight ahead of you the lap of the water, you can see that the cliff goes away. There's a slight descend into the what appears to be water straight ahead of you. There you can hear the sort of like the lap of water, and right the way down there you can see right the way out, and you can see the moon covering, glinting off the reflecting off its the surface of the water as you get there.
No sign of any boat or anything like that.
No, it's just a narrow thing. If you want, you'll probably have to get your feet wet. There's this here is like a stilt
Right.
off the
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so Hasra, Hengist, and Bartleby, you sort of like continue off to the north of the map, and you sort of like carry on sort of like down that way. Bartleby, are you keeping an eye on the back or not?
Probably not. He's probably just trying to keep close to everybody. Hold his lantern stable so it doesn't go out.
Okay, then that's absolutely fine. Just 1 second.
So just a quick question. To the north, is that a dead end for me?
Yeah.
I didn't know where
It looks
I was-
like it's the green stuff. Looks like it's some kind of sewage area. It doesn't look like it's human waste. It looks like it's more like garbage and things like that rather than anything else. Right. Da, da, da. 38. Why can I never find this? Oh, there we are. 38. I love some of the combat words, some of the titles of the combat styles. Okay, so yeah, you're sort of like heading off in that direction when something happens to your 12. Mr. Pickles, Bartleby,
Chest.
sorry. Is that your chest?
Yeah.
I think so, but check. Yes, my chest.
Yeah, so this armor will absorb this first if you have any armor in that location.
1 point.
If you don't, I'm just trying to get my die. Oh, this is what I prefer. If not, this will be going straight. Ooh, that's a nice roll. And then I just need to do
Plus 17.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the plus to that.
it is right. Yeah, you take 4 points of damage to your back or to one side. It sort of like avoids your backpack or whatever's there. How much is that is covered by, taken off by armor?
I have fur armor on most of my body parts here, so that would only take off 1, so that'd bring me down to 3 out of 6 health.
Right, so you're still in positive points, and you're sort of like casually walking up here, and the clouds part for a moment, and you see Amriel's face glaring down at you, and you almost like turn up, and she obviously was trying to warn you about something of making your appearance, but sadly, you just thought, oh, it's nice that she's there. And then also there was this whack, and you suddenly see this dagger embedded into you. It sort of like glances into you. It's not impaled you or anything. Oh, actually, yeah. But yeah. I'm going to use my special of impale.
And Bartleby goes, Gulliver, why?
So I'm just rolling my damage again because I can take the highest one, can't I? 4 again. So, but
Yeah.
it's sort of like you look down and there's this. It looks like it's it doesn't have a hilt on it. It seems to be a blade with a flat hilt. You've seen it a lot in streetwise gangs. They're actually throwing knives. They're sort of like held by like that and chucked, and they spin very effectively, and it's in you now. You'll need a brawn roll to pull it out against my original attack roll. But just to let you know that all your skills will now be one difficulty higher, because obviously you got a dagger. So if it's standard, it'll be hard. If it's hard, it'll be formidable, etc., etc. Yeah, and you sort of like take a step back as this sort of like whacks into you, and you can see. I will put them on for you. It's not that big, don't worry. So this all sort of like happened there. Okay, so that door, can you see the door next to him?
Yes.
That's this purple one. So that's opened outwards. So it's sort of like opened like that, and he's literally watched you all walk past and then try to take out the last member. You think he was probably aiming for your head, but missed, and got you into your chest. Okay then, could we please have some initiatives for everyone, please?
Yeah.
I got so excited then. My name came up and it was blank, and then a moment there was 19. I was like, and then I realised it's mathematically impossible.
Right, let me just put this guy on here.
I got my minimum.
I got my maximum.
I got my middle.
Checks.
Pulls it out of the bag with a 21.
I know, I rolled a 10. Did you see? I think you could see that well. Bartleby, you're actually surprised. So you get minus 10 to your initiative, which takes you down there. So 21 is his like that goes like that. You're sort of like a bit surprised, and we head straight into round 1, combat turn 1. Hengist, make a perception roll for me, please. Yeah, your keen sense hears a quick sort of like groan or from Bartleby from behind, and you actually look around and see the dagger. So you're actually allowed to operate on 17. What would you like to do?
Brilliant. So if I've seen Bartleby's gone down,
yeah, he's not down. He's just
he's
got a dagger
injured.
right there. Yeah.
He's got a dagger sticking out of him. Hengist is going to move through him, and as he hasn't seen the opponent yet, he's just going to place himself between Bartleby and what he believes is a threat.
Okay, that's cool.
With shield up. If possible, and I'm asking this as a question because he hasn't had his sword out, if he could draw his sword at the same time. If not, that's fine.
Do you have anything else in your hand?
He's got his shield on his arm, left arm.
Yeah,
that's got
as you move through, you can draw your weapon. Hasra, roll your perception, please.
Certainly.
To see whether or not you can act. Yeah, so you pick up the sound and you notice that Hengist is moving. So yeah, what would you like to do? Just so you know, there's no space in between Hengist and this person now.
Now,
you could, if you wish, lob your spear up into the air.
Can I bounce it off this wall here and this wall here? To be quite honest, he's not going to. He'll move back a bit, but we keep watching the other way and listening. If I could do a perception to see if I can hear anything going the other way.
Well, I'm quite happy to take that perception roll. You can't hear anything coming the other way.
Right.
Okay then, Gulliver.
Gulliver, seeing that he's come to a dead end of where the cart and the ruffians might have gone, he's going to turn around and start heading back. He can't sprint, so again, his maximum movement is going to be 12, which is 2/3 of his walk rather than what everybody else would have.
Okay, so move yourself to where you would actually be.
Well, I can. I'm just going to.
Just to let you know, just there. Sorry, yeah. So you just passed just here. I'm just pinging the map there. There's a doorway there.
Right.
But it's not a main door because the main doors have like steps on.
I mean, looking at his movement, he can probably get to here.
Okay, that's fine.
He'll be doing the same thing. He won't be aware of anything else, so he'll
yeah.
And then if that's another like junction, he'll do the same that he did.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens up at the top, whether or not you hear combat. Bartleby, you're up next on 9.
I have a quick question. If I use my prayer of healing, which I'll just pop in right here, on an object that's impaled in me, does it heal over the impalement and it's still impaled, or does it like pop out?
It doesn't pop out. It would just cauterize any internal bleeding. It would still have to be removed with a brawn skill to actually get rid of the hardness of it, the hard skill. But what it generally means is that when you pull it out, you won't do any of the... Because normally if you pull out the weapon, you'll take half damage as it pulls out. But if you heal it when it's in, is the plan to heal it, then to pull it out?
That was kind of my idea, but I was wanting to see if Bartleby would have like any experience with helping people in the street where they've been impaled.
So what I would be saying to you is that if you want to heal it and pull it out, then your next 2 actions would be heal and pull it out. So the 2 would be almost like joined together. So on 9 this round, you would start to heal and pull it out, and then 9 the next round, you would finish it off. You know,
make a willpower check to see whether or not you go, dagger.
So if you're quite happy to do that, then you can combine. So it'll be this turn and next turn.
For the healing and the removing?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm going to do then. This is my folk magic roll to pray to Amriel.
Cool.
To cleanse my suffering. Could I use a point of luck to re-roll?
Yes, you certainly can.
Amriel,
your mic sounds really strange, by the way. I don't know if it's
I have a fan on. I might turn that fan off if that helps.
Well, I can't hear your fan. Is this...
No, it's sort of like you're just slightly robot-y, but...
It's just connection, I think.
Yeah.
It might just be connection. So by all means, roll again. Obviously, you know, she sort of like looks down at you, and she just sort of thinks, no, you should have been more careful. But then she's sort of like, okay, then just this once, and she heals you. So that will take it up to maximum, won't it? As long as your brawn roll happens next round, because I think it cures everything up to your maximum hit points, doesn't it?
Correct.
Yeah. Brilliant. Okay then. So we're now moving into combat round 1 still, but on to turn 2. For anybody watching, please remember that 1 combat round lasts 5 seconds. So all this is happening what was that? It sounded like somebody was hoovering. And this all happens together.
It wasn't Medivac either this time.
No, it wasn't Medivac. He's muted for once.
So you sort of like Gulliver's doing his bit down here. You cast your prayer. Hengist, you move down. Hasra, you turn round, and as you move down, this is combat round 1, turn 2. This you see this assassin, this ruffian. It looks like it's one of the people from the place before, and at that point he ducks straight back into the house, and if you remember, the door was open there. So as he goes back in, the door just shuts, and so he does that on 21. Hengist, you're next up on 17.
Hengist, seeing this door shut, is he's going to move towards the door, but he's going to stop. So he's not standing right in front of the door. So if the door swung open, it will hit him in the face. He's standing just to the opening side.
Yeah, that's absolutely
open
fine.
It next
Cool. So then we're down to you, Hasra.
Hasra, seeing this dagger sticking out of Bartleby's back.
It's his side here.
It's like, I'm like, what has happened? And I'll reach over and I'll pull it out. Hopefully.
Okay then, yeah. So you need to roll your brawn skill.
I'd like to use a point of luck, please, sir.
Yeah.
Re-roll. So Emriel's looking at me too.
He sees it and goes, that should be inside, surely, and pushes it back.
Push it back in.
Bartleby, you're sort of like praying to heal it, and you've got one hand on the dagger, slowly trying to remove it, healing at the same time as you're going out, and everything seems to be completely going according to plan. And Hasra comes along and sort of like grabs it and yanks it, but yanks it at the wrong angle to what you're actually healing and taking out. So imagine that you were slowly slipping it in between two ribs, and then all of a sudden he goes like that and makes a bit of a mess of the roll.
Sausage stuff falls onto the floor.
Yeah, and you suddenly almost like feel as if you have been almost like hit again, and as Hasra yanks it to one side, you take 3 points of damage, and it's not absorbed by armor because it's actually inside you, as it's like that. And just make a willpower check for me, please. Yeah, and the sudden shock of this, I mean, you were just slowly pulling it out, and all of a sudden somebody's grabbed almost like your hand and yanked it the wrong way. You still get the spell off, that's absolutely fine, but you let out quite a shout, and Hengist, you sort of like even look round and to see this. Gulliver, can you just make a perception roll for me, please?
You can hear a girl scream.
Gulliver, you even hear Bartleby scream. Well, he doesn't scream, he lets out a yell.
Do I recognise the girl scream of Bartleby?
Yeah, you've probably heard it many times before, so you know roughly where he is.
The first time was when Bria came at him.
Was that before or after Bria was dropped down the stairs? Was that the same adventure?
Yeah.
No, it was a different adventure. 2 years after.
I think she was fine until she was dropped down a stone stair.
She was actually comatose when she was dropped downstairs because it was under the influence of the.
Oh, she was, yeah.
And she was quite pretty.
Yeah.
Before.
So Gulliver, we move to you on 13.
Hearing the scream from Bartleby, he's not going to look any further. He's going to head in the direction that it came from.
Well, so you can move your movement on that 13.
If I get up to here, I'm going to look left and right.
Yeah, the way is clear.
I can't see where they are.
You know that the sound came from down here.
Ah, right. In which case, if I know that, then I'll head round that way. Then I don't know. I can't. I can move 12. I'm going to say that's 12. I'm not 100% sure. So.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. Just wait one moment. Yeah. Okay then. So that's 13. So this is you now, Bartleby, on 9. Yes, you probably do let out a sigh.
Okay. Bartleby is gonna, seeing that there's more of a wound, he's just gonna try and pull it out himself.
Okay. Then.
Before healing anymore, and putting up a hand to try and push Hasra away.
Yeah.
Also not speaking.
Okay, so my original roll was 38, by the way.
I don't think I can beat this, and I'm rolling it anyways. Gabrielle!
Yes, you can. You can get... You could get a critical, because then that would actually beat it. But at the moment, although you've succeeded, my roll is higher. So yeah, you sort of like, it's back in, and it's almost like it's attached to a rib. You know, you're sort of like wiggling it a bit, but thinking, no, it's right in there. Beforehand, it was probably in about that much. Now it's in about that much. So you try to, it's not necessarily brute force pulling it out. You're just quietly trying to wiggle it out, but you take no more damage, but it's firmly in there. Okay, so
before we get any further, we've lost Chugga.
Oh, okay. Well, that's absolutely fine. Let me. Where's he gone?
I don't know. He's just dropped out of Zoom.
He probably thought, oh, things are going far too wrong at the moment.
Or his second PC died on him.
No, it won't. It's.
He's back.
Is he back?
Well, he just popped up in Roll20.
I'll have to do a quick shifty of the cameras when he comes back in.
So, Mr. Pickles, how are you feeling before pre-Hasra?
Bartleby would know Hasra's not doing this on purpose. He's trying to help.
Yes.
But unfortunately,
because I need to send him the link.
It's fine, Bartleby. It's battlefield medicine.
I think Amriel might have gotten tired of Bartleby. Let's get rid of this one. Calling upon my powers too often.
That's what she told me as well.
Speed dial.
He's coming. I've just sent him the. If Hasra's not trying to throw spears into combat, narrowly missing Hengist's legs, he's now trying to do battle medicine.
Never failed on the spear throwing yet.
Yet, right?
Yet.
Right. Let me just do a quick. Are you all right, Chugs?
Yeah. Critical structure failure error. It
Nice.
doesn't sound good.
Well,
It's a good thing there's a new one on Tuesday. Monday.
I'm just moving everybody back. We're just going into combat round. We're still
What
combat.
did I miss anything exciting? Did Hasra kill anybody or anybody?
No. So just to let you know, we're going into combat round 1, turn 3. So it's anybody who's got 3 action points or has got any action points left. There you go.
Hasra does.
So hang on, because it's Hengist first.
For once. So Hengist is.
Dibber.
No, he's not dithering. He's not dithering. Longshanks has got the tip of what he wants to do on the tip of his tongue, and it won't come out. He's going to put his sword, lean his sword against the side of the wall, ready to open the door, unless that can be one action.
You can probably grab hold of the door with your shield hand and open it. You don't
Okay, in which case he does that.
Okay then, brilliant. So you open the door with that. That's on 17 and 16. Hasra.
How tall are these buildings around us?
2 stories high.
2 stories. Okay, well, let's throw someone out the
That was your
window.
perception check then, was it? Me? Right. Okay.
Well, I can't get past Bartleby, so I will just stay there and keep it and listen.
You
See if I can hear.
you can move past. You can move through. I feel that
don't-
I've said this before.
You have said this, but I don't want to because you've got a dagger sticking out his back. I might
Right.
nudge you.
So it's not that you can't move past him.
No, it's the fact he doesn't want to.
It's the
move
fact
past.
that you don't want to move.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
I will try and listen around if I can, see if I can hear any sounds of movement again. So any doors opening anywhere.
Okay then.
and
Yeah.
any-
Make a perception roll for me, and I'll keep the score for later. Thank you. Okay. Gully.
Okay, so coming round and taking in the situation, not seeing any assailants, Gulliver is going to start to cast a spell.
Okay.
And the spell that he's going to cast, he's going to cast behind him, and he's going to do it here.
Yeah.
And and then I need to see whether or not the that's the spell that I want to do. So I can cast it as range. I don't think it's touch.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just grabbing it from the other map. That's what I'm doing at the moment.
And my spell roll is a 22 out of a 72. So I got it. So
Is it here that you want to put it?
yeah, just on that.
Yeah. You happy
Yeah.
with it there? Yep.
Yeah, done.
Cool. Okay then. Yeah. So that roll. So that's your alarm spells. Just so people in the stream know, then that if anybody walks over it or breaks it, then there'll be the alarm will. You'll get a tingle that something's happening.
That woman with the basket walks past and sets it off again. I'm going to be annoyed.
Yeah.
What about a cat? Could a cat
So
set it?
that is the end of 5 seconds. So we're going into round 2 now. And so this is combat round 1. So at the last round, you use your shield arm to open the door, Hengist. And as you open the door, this goes into second combat round, and the ruffians go first on 21. Just to let you know, there are 2 straight ahead of you in the room inside, and they're obviously prepared, because as you open the door, they go and they both chuck knives straight at you.
I just want to say I did have visions of Hengist just sort of like getting behind his shield and just charging the door and just taking the door.
Have you
Thought
ward,
about it.
have you ward location with your shield?
I haven't announced it.
No. Okay then. So that's cool. So first roll
Post-it note and all. Just ignored it.
is a 62, which misses. You can defend against them if you wish to get that to get your
If
special.
he thinks the first one's going to miss, he's not going to.
And the second one on a 90 misses as well. So you sort of probably open the door and they sort of like either misjudge it, and one goes chung next to you in the door, and the other one goes chung next to you in the door frame. In the door.
He knows it was the light of Amriel that.
It was the shield protecting.
Yeah, it's probably a glare or something. Yeah.
That's what I had in visions of looking through the doorway, lobbing something that just this light
Yeah.
appearing in the doorway.
So that's 21.
Okay. So Hengist is going to move immediately through the doorway, and he's just going to move towards the nearest of the 2,
Okay, well, hang on, just one second.
announcing with his free action, they're in here, and he's gone.
Now, I'm trusting to your wonderful role-playing abilities, you all now, because I'm going to be moving you between maps. Okay, so let me just make sure that inside this room that you're in is actually let me just stick dynamic lighting on, because therefore it will, I've set it up to hide everything.
May I ask a quick question?
Yeah,
because I'm not sure how Bartleby's spell works. If Hengist doesn't ward location, does the Shield of Amriel not?
No, it doesn't work because it's cast on a shield. Bartleby only has control of it when, so say for example somebody was going to come up and hit Gulliver, and Bartleby cast Shield Hengist of Aegis of Amriel on you, he's then controlling the shield.
Right. Okay, I'm with you.
Okay, so you probably won't, a lot of you probably won't be able to see things. So can you see you've come through the door there?
Hengist does, yes.
And you can just see the two ruffians at the edge of your torchlight, your shield light there. How do you want to move right the way up to them?
I had said that he is going to advance to the nearest. So
Okay,
I'll leave that to your discretion of which is the nearest.
That's absolutely brilliant. So so that's on 17. And this is now 16, Hasra. I'm just going to delete Hengist from this this map because he's.
I was tempted though, as
he has been taken.
I was tempted to break immersion, and as he went in, he said, "I am the law."
Yeah. So you see him go in. You know that he's gone in. Hasra, Bartleby, and Hasra as well. So Hasra, you're up on 16.
Hasra's perfectly secure.
Oh, you did Did you do a? Yes, you did.
I did a perception.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So you're going to continue to do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, he's perfectly secure with Hengist doing what he's doing because he knows he's a very capable soldier. So he will protect Bartleby without touching Bartleby, which is his best protection ever.
Nice. Yeah. So therefore, we are up to Gully.
Okay, Gulliver's going to head down this way towards Bartleby, keeping an eye on the rooftops because he's sure that there's something up on there. But he's going to get close to Bartleby as his movement.
Okay, and Bartleby, you're on 9.
Would I be able to apply my healing skill instead of brawn to the knife in me? Would that take more turns, or?
So if you want to heal it and withdraw it, it's still the same. So you'll need a heal spell, and then the thing is, I mean, if you want to take minutes off this, then you know that it would then become easy, which you'll then have more chance of doing it. But at the moment, this dagger is well and truly in you.
I meant the healing skill, not my healing prayer. Would that be?
Well, you would have to. That basically, you would probably make a ring out of bandages and pop it round it, so it's sort of, and then strap it round it. So it's going to take some time to actually do that. Because healing's it's a skill, aren't you? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so that involves bandages, stitches, and things like that. You can ask Hasra to pull it out for you if you wish.
I do have first aid.
he can pull it out.
Yeah.
And then I've got an idea. Why don't you give either Hasra or yourself the strength of Amriel?
So I was just thinking, I want to give the strength of Amriel to Hasra and like put my arm.
I'll just push it through.
I'm putting my hand.
Hasra go.
That's what you do, that,
There'll be a seagull flying by. Okay then. So yeah, devotion then. I think it's exhort. Sorry, is it? No, is it?
That would be folk magic for my,
Oh, folk
my might.
magic. Yeah, so just roll your folk magic on 9.
I'm going to put my hand on his arm and say, just try again, using my free action to speak. And I would like to use a point of luck to reroll. Jeez.
You know why this is happening, don't you?
I'm being punished.
You are, because you asked Amriel a stupid question last time.
I know.
And now she's just...
Do you like these?
And now it's just downhill, and I having, it's Amriel affecting your... Amriel is Bartleby's goddess, by the way, because he's a theist, a cleric. So it's her that's doing it, not me. Okay then, so Hasra, for your... If you wish to use Brawn, then you can add your power onto your skill roll. And that's the end of combat round 2, turn 1. Yeah. So now we're into combat round 2, turn 2. Yeah. So the first thing I'm going to do is just nip across to this map, and first things first, just so you know, the 2 people there, they draw what appears to be clubs on their action on 21. Roll a perception check for me, please. Okay, cool. Yeah, so you see them, you sort of like charge towards them, and they as you're moving towards them, they draw their clubs, and then you get into combat at this point with them. So now it's you on 17. Yeah.
Okay, so Hengist is going to attack. He'll attack the one on his right, so the one I'm pinging now. So that's the one with...
Yeah, just always say east, west, or north.
Okay, that's west.
Yeah, the one on the west. Yeah. Cool. 74. So yeah, that's a hit. He will try to parry with his club. Yeah, he actually parries with his club on a roll of 13. So I need to know how big your weapon is.
My weapon is medium.
Yeah, and so is mine. So I think is that half damage off the top of my head.
I cannot remember.
What is it? Sorry, parry.
Yeah, medium against medium.
I don't have parry stuff.
I think it has to be, or is it no damage? Is it one?
I don't do combat.
You better get ready for the next one. Impale effects. Here we go. Medium. Oh no, it blocks all the damage.
All damage.
All damage. So you're sort of like wax around, and he sort of like slides off this club, and I don't know if you remember seeing this. I feel that I've described it before. The club obviously has what appears to be nails. Nails and bits of glass that has been hammered into it at various points. Okay, then. So
dog poo.
Yeah. It's a bit stinky. Yeah. So that's your attack. So that's on your 17. So we go back outside. Hasra.
Yes. What's your power, Bartleby?
14.
He put it in.
Yeah,
chat,
it's in chat.
To what?
Oh, sorry, my apologies.
He always puts it straight after the spell description. So just put a temporary 14 onto it.
Brawn, not to our strength. I must remember that.
Yeah, and therefore you need to beat 38. That was the weapon skill that it was impaled into.
Right, so if I change, sorry.
So either higher than 38 or a crit.
Right, here we go then.
If it's a fumble, I'll let something nice happen. Yeah,
That'll do nicely,
yeah.
please, sir.
With Amriel's blessing, you sort of like.
I feel it tingle down my arm as I pull the dagger gently but firmly out of his back.
Yeah, he's sort of like that, and it's definitely some kind of throwing knife. We're down to you, Gulliver, on 13.
Does Gulliver hear the sound of combat coming from?
Roll a perception check.
Sorry, mate. I just need to make sure that I change my thing because I crashed. We have 28 standard.
Yeah. Yes, you do hear the combat out from inside. You actually hear something else as well because you have beaten my stealth roll. Because I rolled the stealth roll, and you sort of like can hear this sort of like happening, and you sort of like turn your head and you just see landing down here from a window that has been opened from here. Somebody has just landed on the floor. They thought they were totally silent, but your perception roll is actually they failed their stealth roll, so you win. You see it looks like it's one of the other ruffians that you've seen before. So what would you like to do? That's just an observation in combat, so that's just a free action.
Okay. I immediately want to cast a spell. The spell is this one.
Okay.
So he's hearing it. He sort of like turns round. He's got the torch in one hand with his two fingers crossed. He'll point to this other person, and you hear him say "Emmet" as he casts the spell. That's my roll. 31 standard. You have to beat.
Right.
And you're resisting it by endurance.
Endurance. My endurance is 54. And I get a 30 out of 54.
I win by 1
point. So therefore he's now winded, isn't he?
Yeah, so all of a sudden he feels the pressure of fatigue come over.
So all his all the difficulty rolls now for his skills will now be hard, so there'll be one high. I'm just putting, for people watching in the stream, I'm just putting a quick thing up about skills so you can have a quick goosey gander at that before we go any further. Right, so that's on 13. Don't forget to cross off your magic points. And Bartleby, you're on 9.
With the blade removed, I'm going to beg Amriel for forgiveness and help with this prayer of healing.
Yeah.
I only have 1 luck point left, so I'm going to hoard that and not spend it here, even if I fail.
Oh, okay, you're going slowly into her blessing.
63 out of 64 he is, yes.
He's sort of like, she says, oh, go on then. And she channels her magic through you, and that will heal that wound up to maximum. Okay then, so we're now going on to turn 3 for anybody who's got combat left, any turns left, action points left.
I do, but I think Hengist goes first.
Hengist goes first. Yeah. Well, actually, no, I go first.
I was just waiting to check.
So the one on the west has no action points left, but the one on the east does, because he's only used 1 to draw his weapon. So he swings at you with his club. Oh, and gets a 5. Hang on.
Nice.
60. So that's a crit for me. So what do you wish to do?
Can I use my luck point to make you re-roll?
You certainly can if you wish.
Yes.
But that would be your luck point gone for the rest of the adventure.
I know. I'm going to risk it for a biscuit.
Okay, then I will re-roll that.
Get a better crit.
I get an 86 and miss. Hang on, I've got one more thing to do. Oh, sorry, that's wrong. 64, and that misses. So you sort of like, just via sheer luck of your combat expertise, you miss the critical hit that would have hit your head quite nicely and probably done a huge amount of damage to it. But you also, at that point, as you move, you feel a club whistle past your head, and you suddenly sense that you are actually surrounded on three sides by these club wielding thugs. Can you just make a perception roll for me just now? Is this whether or not you see something else that's going to happen? Okay, so I'll remember that that's a success. Yeah, so that's them all done. You can also see, just so you know, you can see the hooded figure. I forget who I used last time. Who did I use last time?
Miko. No, you used Rast.
Dominic.
Oh yes. So I can use Dominic again.
Wagon urinator.
Yeah.
Can you see him?
Wolf mutilator.
Longshanks, can you see him?
I can't see him now. All I've got is the three guys in the bench.
Yeah, so just to let you know, he's sort of like, there's a set of stairs coming up here because
he's coming down the stairs.
No, he's not. He stood at the top of the stairs, well, halfway up, looking down, inspecting what's going on. So 17, it's your turn.
So while
Hengist.
Mine for once. I got a higher roll.
It's because they can't see you on the turn order. On their turn order,
I've got no turn.
Yeah, I've got no turn order.
Yeah, because I've put it on so I can still see it. I
am going to use my last action point to attack the chap on the west again.
Okay, cool.
Try and get them down, and I got a crit on the standard.
Yeah. Let's check my luck points, because that would be funny. Oh no, he doesn't have any. Okay, yeah. So I need specials. You'll have 2 specials, including crits, and so I need specials, hit location, and then damage.
So he's going to use press advantage and disarm, if possible.
Okay then. So which one is the crit?
Well, I think they're both just normal specials, or does it have to be a crit special?
No, you don't have to do a crit at all.
Them if you want.
Well, it's more the 2 specials. So is it press advantage? Yeah, it was press advantage. So that means he can't attack.
But you're disarming him.
But I've also disarmed him.
Yeah. So the target makes a combat style roll versus your initial roll. So your initial roll was 8. So I really need to get a crit on this roll. Otherwise he'll be disarmed, and he gets a 32, so he is now disarmed. I'm just going to put a little symbol on him so I know that he's disarmed. Okay,
so
then.
The way I imagine it is Hengist has just sort of like had a whistle past one attack and then a whistling past something, and then he's taken a sharp half step forwards at the same time as whacking this chap in the wrist. Cool. So he's moved suddenly and threateningly towards this chap, and he's backed off a little bit and dropping his his club at the same time after being hit.
So he's now disarmed. His club clatters to the floor, and he can only defend the next turn. And so we now move outside, I think, to this. Now, the guy who's down at the bottom still moves on 21. Yeah? Does that make sense to people? Yeah. So the first thing he does, because he's dropped noisily to the ground, he turns round. Gulliver sees him and goes, "Erit!" on him and saps his strength from him. But he still sort of like goes like that and lobs his dagger in the direction of you, Gulliver. He will now be formidable to hit you, but if he misses, because it's hard to go into combat, plus one more, but he's not really bothered about who he hits. There's no friendly, so I don't think, is that hard going into combat just because of friendly fire? I
think so, yeah. I don't think you would have the his role is now just he needs to do at a hard roll. He gets a 61, which is above his thing. So this dagger flies past you, Gulliver, and Bartleby, you sort of like see it hit the door just in front of you. Can you see where it goes? It goes like that. So that happens on 21 from his from tide over from his second action. I was going to, just so you know, I was going to throw it from the window, but you stopped in such a position that I thought the angle wouldn't be right. I would have complained about the angle.
I wanted to do maybe an athletics check to dive out the window, go throw it.
That would have been formidable.
And then cling like Spider-Man, since Spider-Man's 57 today. And then go down the other side. So, Hasra, you are up next outside.
Do you know, so just a side point, it's a shame there isn't a special for Hengist where he can move location and just without any incoming attacks. So, but anyway. Right, so Hasra seeing this ruffian jump out of a window and land and then throw a dagger.
Well, you probably hear the dagger being thrown.
Because I'm facing the other way, aren't I now?
Yeah.
Yeah. He will turn, and can I move? I can move through, can't I? I'm going to move to there with my spear in hand.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. 13, Gulliver.
Okay, Gulliver is casting a spell. This spell that he's casting is coming up in 2 ticks. 1. Okay, so that's the spell that he's casting. It's taking him 2 turns.
What shaping are you putting into it?
I'm not putting any shaping into it.
Right, so it'll just be the range will be 15 meters, or just one target, and you're not changing the magnitude.
No.
Okay, then cool. Right, so magnitude for people who are listening is the strength of the spell to be dispelled. So it's currently being cast as a 1. So if I was to cast a dispel magic or neutralize magic at a 2, then the spell would be dissipated without saving throws or anything like that. Yeah, so go for it. Do I get a save?
It doesn't come off yet.
All right. Oh no, two. So
2 turns.
Yeah. Brilliant. Okay then. Bartleby.
I have no action points, so I'm still doing that healing prayer.
Excellent. Thank you.
I would like to use a point of luck at the end of the round. To buy
an action point, which means your spell will go off. So am I resisting on endurance?
You're resisting on endurance. Let me do the roll.
Good point.
Knowing my luck, I got a 24. So you're resisting on endurance.
But I'm also hard.
Mm-hmm.
I must do a hard roll. 82, I fail. So what
Okay,
it,
so
he's
basically what I'm doing is I'm casting hold fast on his feet. So if he's got boots on or anything like that, I'm adhering the soles of his boots to the actual floor. As far as he's concerned, I've been summoning this ball of sort of like flowing water that's swirling, and then I've just sort of like chucked it, and it's just landed at his feet. He thinks he's just, and then disappeared.
yeah. So okay then. So we move into combat round 3. So Bartleby and Gulliver and Hasra, I think you need to make endurance rolls to resist fatigue for being in combat this long.
Didn't make it.
Yeah.
So Gulliver, you're now winded, so that's a yellow sticker. Bartleby's fine, and Hasra's fine. Okay then. So what I suggest we do, it's past now. So I suggest we have the break now, because it's an end of 2 combat rounds. So we just had a fatigue check. So we will take a quick 10-minute break now. And then, because it's 8:30, and then when we come back, we have fighting on 2 fronts. We have fighting outside and fighting inside. The boss, yes, that's right, Marky Mark, inside. Marky Mark would also like to remind you that you get 100 silver pieces for each bandit captured alive.
Hence the desire.
Alive. Excellent. So
if Bartleby survives, despite Hasra's attempts, do we get 100 silver pieces?
Yeah.
Oh, Bartleby.
I know, Bartleby, you've been in the wars today, haven't you?
It's been rough.
It's been rough. Okay then, so we're going
It's
to
tough love.
take a quick 10-minute break. So we will be back in 10. So grab a drink, grab a beverage, and we'll see you in 10. that on, put that on. And we are back. Yeah, we are back and ready to go for it. I can't remember whether or not I turned the sound off. Yeah. Yeah, fun things are happening both inside and outside the corridor, the slums streets. So just to bring you quickly up to date, the little character, let me just put you onto the big map so you can see. So this guy here is one of the thugs that has dropped down from the window. He chucked a dagger into the general direction of the party, luckily missed Gulliver. Hasra's moved up to combat, well, not combat range, but just to that point. Gulliver's already sapped his energy from him, making all his rolls hard now, and has also now hold fast his foot or feet to the ground. So basically he's stuck to the ground, and Bartleby is recovering from a dagger that's been wiggled about in him, and so like pulled out. He's had to heal himself several times just to keep it up. And then inside there's even more exciting things happening as Hengist has come in. He's disarmed and pressed advantage onto one of them. He's got another two thugs armed with clubs with bits of metal and glass on him, and there's also what appears to be the leader, the guy who had the cowl on, inside as well. We've just come to the end of combat round 2. So in Mythras, after a certain amount of time, they have to resist fatigue rolls because they've been battling away. And so what happens now is that if they fail the fatigue, then everything goes up, all their skill levels go up by 1. So instead of being a standard roll, they're now hard, which means they reduce the value by 1/3, so it's harder to sort of like get attack them. And that's where we've left them, and we are going into, I think, combat round 3, turn 1. Yeah, is that correct?
Sounds about right.
Yeah, and just before we do this, I need to add an initiative onto the track. So it's combat round 3. It's turn 1, and we go straight inside to start off with the ongoing battle. So the one to the east, this one here, he can only use his actions to defend, so he can't press any attacks. However, these two have both got actions, so they can both roll to attack. So what I'll do is that I'll do my roll, and then you can decide whether or not you want to defend against it, either if I hit or miss, and then we'll do the next one, and so forth and so on. Okay then, so first roll, their combat, just so you know, is their skill is 60. So the first one is 72, which is a miss. Do you wish to?
Nope.
No. Okay. And the second one is a 42, which is a hit.
Yeah, so Hengist will try and block that with.
Okay, cool. So roll your combat style. Take an action. Yeah, so you parry it or block it. So no damage is taken as both hit. And now, could you please make for me, hang on, I just need to roll one more thing. Yeah, okay then, so you can hear some muttering up on the top from this guy, and just so you know, I'm going to use my 1 point of luck that I have to change the 81 that he's cast to a an 18, which means that his spell will actually hit. So you have a resist for your endurance on this.
Okay.
You've seen Gulliver cast this spell before. It's he's firing a disruption spell at you. Right, so you fail. You got no luck left?
I have no luck. I can do nothing but...
Yeah, so this will hit a random hit location, and then it actually...
want me to link my spell into...
no, I've got it here. It
bypasses armor, doesn't it?
Any armor or natural protection. Yeah.
I just wanted some people in the stream.
Oh yes, that's cool. Yeah, this hits your 12, which I think is your chest. Yeah, and it does.
Ignore the range. It's not touch. It's just that roll 20.
It's 1d3, isn't it?
1d3. Yeah.
Yeah. So you take, as he casts this spell at you, you take a massive 1 point of damage in your chest as he sort of like he pulls his arm back and he sort of like flings his hand flat like that, and what you see coming towards you is almost like some kind of rune that is black, that is sort of like trailing black, sort of like a bit like when Night Stalker teleports. Is that his name, Night Stalker? From X-Men. So it's like that coming around. It comes in and it just sort of like comes straight past you and sort of like hits you in the chest as the dark magic hits you. That's on 18, which means it's now 17. So it's your turn to Nightcrawler. Thank you, Zen Burning. Nightcrawler. So 17. So it's your turn. I think you've got 2 action points left.
I do have 2 action points left. Hengist is going to hit out at the middle one.
Okay.
And hopefully do some damage.
Okay, so the middle one will use his remaining action point to try to parry it. So he gets a 49, so he does parry the blow with his club, and they meet down, and it blocks all the damage coming into it. 17. So now we go outside and to Hasra on 16.
No, the chappie down here goes first, doesn't he? 21.
Oh yes. He can't move.
Does he know that he can't move though?
Well, he'll probably try to move, but that's a bit like observing, so he's not likely to fall over or anything like that. He sort of like tries to move, see that he can't move, so he actually draws on his action another one of his throwing knife. Thank you for reminding me about that, on 21. So yes, Hasra, you're on 16.
So Hasra's going to throw his spear at him.
Okay, cool. So this will just be a normal roll.
Yep. So where are we?
And just let me check something, because if I can't move,
you should still be able to parry.
Hang on, I'm looking for the difficulty of. Okay, so so this would just be a normal roll because you're only hard when you want to go into combat. He can't actually evade, which is what he would do, and I can't parry a missile weapon with a. If I was a mystic, then I could do arrow cut. So this is going to be an easy roll. A standard roll for you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So that's a hit.
Okay then, so I need location. Special hit location damage.
Special's going to be drop foe.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Which is a ranged firearms. It says firearms, but I'm assuming that means spears as well, is it? Or no.
Firearms is a specific thing.
Yeah.
It's not the firearms rule.
Oh, sorry. I had such that's just thrown everything into a scupper here now.
Out of interest, Gulliver, when he was created, he wanted to eventually learn how to use black powder and use a firearm, but campaigns.
No. Okay, well, we'll stick with what we've got. We've got special will be
plenty to choose from.
I know, sorry, that's completely thrown me off, and I'm not.
Just have impale.
Yeah, impale.
Oh.
Yeah, there we go. Well, surprise.
Okay, two lots of damage then for me, and then I'll take hit location next.
It was 13.
Yeah, that's cool. Thank you.
And 2 lots of damage will be.
So just for people watching, when an impale is done, the players roll the damage twice. I take the highest one, which is the 7, and the spear is lodged inside the person. So this is on his
right arm.
Right arm. How much? It's 7.
7.
Which would take that down to 5. Which will take that to there. Which means I need to roll that against your original roll of 68. I get 100 and fumble it completely. So because it's a fumble, I'm going to rule that it sort of like whacks into his arm. It knocks him back, and the pain actually knocks him unconscious.
Wonderful.
And so he is now unconscious, still stuck to the floor.
It's like when you fall over wearing skis, isn't it?
Come back up.
No, it's like when you fall over wearing skis.
It's like a weevil.
Yeah.
Is yours concentrated?
No.
Oh no, it's just there now and done. Yeah. Okay then. So that's 6.
Can I ask a rule question?
Yeah.
Because I don't know the answer, and I think it would be interesting to know. Do missile weapons have a minimum range, as in you can't? Was it D&D that you could?
No, I sent you the link to this ready for your missile weapons. It's exactly the same a range. It has 3 range brackets.
I know it has those effective and
so
whether or not there was any minimums involved.
No, well, it would be common sense.
Yeah,
that's what I would say, but it has to be short range to do.
Choose location.
And then in the mid range, the power, very long range, the power and everything is reduced, so it doesn't do so much damage. And there's something for mid as well that I can't remember. Okay, Gulliver, you're up.
My previous perception roll, did that include hearing combat?
Yes, you heard the combat happening inside.
So that's where Gulliver's heading.
Okay.
Is that door closed? I take it.
That door is closed, but this one is open.
Okay, so that's where he's heading.
So what, do you just want to go in through the door?
He'll probably go into the doorway and take the situation. He won't sort of like...
So I will put you on the map like that, yeah?
Yeah, I don't know until I've seen the other one.
Yeah.
I'm still on the plebeian map.
You should see it now?
Yeah, I can see that, yeah.
Yeah, cool. Okay then, so let's move back onto there. So that's your movement on turn 1.
Hengist dead.
To go to Bartleby, you're on 9.
This is a little unorthodox for how we do things, but since I only have 2 action points, and this is a goal that's 2 actions, I want to move over to the downed individual and begin to heal their wound.
Okay then, so it'll take you one turn to actually get there via your movement, won't it?
Technically, it takes the whole round for me to do this series of actions.
Right. Okay then. So on turn 1 will be your movement to get there. Yeah. Okay. So now we're going into combat round 3 still, but turn 2, and we go straight back across to the combat in here. So this guy is unarmed. He has no armor. He has no weapon in his hand. So he just he hasn't used up any action points yet. So he's just going to flail his fist in your general direction, Hengist.
Okay.
Yeah, he hits with a 19. So do you wish to...
No.
Okay, so...
He says, scrunching up his face.
Yeah, so he will... don't want to use. Okay, so he will do an attack on you. He's going to use flurry as his special, which means he can automatically do. He's still got an action point left, so he's going to hit you with one and then hit you again, martial arts style. He does need to make a skill roll for the second one, but the first one, let's do it one step at a time. So the first one, he lands a blow in your one.
Right leg.
Yeah, so he tries to sort of like dead leg you, and I think it's a 1d3, isn't it? This would be, he does 1 point of damage as he whacks into your leg. But that'll be absorbed by your armor.
Absorbed by the armor.
And then he'll use his special and his second action point to hit you again with his follow-up fist. Do you wish to do anything about it?
No.
Okay then.
He's focusing on someone else.
So this one hits you on your 11.
That is mid-chest.
And that will do 3 points of damage, but that can be absorbed by armor. So he probably turns around, whacks you in the leg, and then sort of like punches up to your chest and meets with a bit of a brick wall of metal. Now I've got the next person along. This person has 1 action point left because he parried your blow. So this is his to hit roll. He gets a 3, which will be a crit.
I'm going to have to parry that. I'm going to have to hope for a crit.
So you use up your action point.
No crit.
Okay then, so he's going to do, he's going to definitely do the one that he's going to, his crit is going to be bypass armor.
Okay.
And his other crit, because he'll have 2, his other special will be to disarm you.
Okay.
As it comes along. So you need to roll your combat style. My roll is a critical 3.
So I've got to get a crit to keep hold of the sword.
Yes, correct.
No.
No. Okay then. So he knocks the sword out of your arm. So he probably he'll do his damage. And I'm going to say it goes off your sword arm. So he does 1 point of it, but remember he's bypassed. And he sort of like sees that clink in your armor, maybe round your elbow, and does his club, and a bit of that glass sort of like whacks in, and your sword drops to the floor. And then finally, I've got this guy here who's only got 1 action roll left. 1 action point left, and he hits with a 30, so he will hit. Do you wish?
Yeah, I have no action points.
Okay, so he will get a special as well, and he will flurry his as well, so he'll hit you and then hit you. Oh no, he can't hit you again, he's only got 1. So I will press advantage onto you, which means that you are next turn you are just defending, and that's all. His shot goes into your
chest again.
into your 10, and this is his club, which is I think it's a club of 1d2. I think it is.
And
1d6. 1d6, yeah.
Yeah.
And 2 points of damage, which will be absorbed by your
It is absorbed by the armor. Yeah.
armor. And then, so that's on 21. This guy up on the stairs goes next. Could you just put your tired spell in the chat, Chugos, please? Ooh. Oh, he's failed.
If I saw him cast it, I would want to do a reactive action.
Yeah, you can see him casting, but it doesn't come off. You can see sort of like this black smoke congregating around his hand, but nothing seems to be coming of it. And that is the end of me. But Hengist, you're 17, so you've got nothing. Do you have any action?
No, I don't think I've got any action points.
Okay, then. So next we nip outside Hasra.
Unless I've got a free action, sorry.
You can use a free action.
So he's going to use a free action at the moment to ward location.
Okay, yeah.
And it's as the ones that and it's as ticked on my character
ticked,
sheet
yeah.
already.
Okay then. So we're back out here now. Hasra, you're next on 16.
Yeah, so Hasra seen Bartleby going to this ruffian on the floor. We'll see. Bartleby, if you're going to heal him, at least tie him up first.
But do you know he's going to heal him?
Well, I don't, but
maybe drop him.
So that would be fine.
I know. To be fair, I know what Bartleby is like.
Exactly. So that Hasra, that would just be your free action. So you still have an action to go.
Okay, so I will walk over to the body, and if I can, could I take my backpack off and take out my rope as an action?
Yeah, or you can do that as an action. That's not a problem at all. Okay, so now we're back inside. For Gulliver on 13.
Okay, Gulliver is going to cast a quick spell. He's casting at this person up here who's just seen trying to use a cantrip. He doesn't know whether or not it was a sorcery spell or not. So he points to him with his fingers crossed, and you hear him say, "Noit Persid!" as he casts the same spell that he did. Disrupt.
I have it's endurance, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm hard due to fatigue.
So you would have to luck roll that to make it work.
I can't, so I lose.
Okay, so you're also like starting to summon it, but you can't because you're so tired. You're really struggling to pull that magic from deep within inside you to actually cast. And Bartleby, we're back to you outside.
I'll use my free action to respond to Hasra, like look at him and nod and say, "You prepare to tie him up then." As I then use my last action for this round to use heal prayer. Ask Amriel to give me some help to prevent bloodshed. Yeah, she likes it.
So he's unconscious, but he's not losing any blood. He still does have the spear in him.
I know I'm going to pull it out.
And when he pulls out, it will do damage. So that's the end of combat round 3. Turn 2, so we're going into turn 3 for anybody who's got combat action points left. I have no action points inside. Hengist doesn't have any.
Nope.
Hasra, do you have any action?
I have one, but I'll be using this action to tie him up.
Okay, so you tie him up on 16. Gulliver, do you have any?
I do indeed.
I've never known Gully to be out of luck.
He only has one, doesn't he?
I thought he just has one that he uses several times.
So these 3, one's unarmed, the other 2 are armed with clubs.
Yeah. So the one straight ahead of
the one with the no entry sign on it.
has
no weapon.
Okay. I'm just I'm on 3 rounds. Sorry, 3 turns.
3 turns. Okay, then let's just stick that in your. Oh yes, it's in there already. 3. Cool. Oh no, hang on. I'll do it like this because then I can actually see it at a glance. Okay, that's 3. Okay, cool. Bartleby, do you have any?
I do not.
Okay then. So Hengist, you need to make an endurance roll.
I was poised and ready. So I succeed with a 66 out of 73.
Yeah, so you're absolutely fine. And we move on to round 4. Round 4, combat round 1. Combat turn 1. I just need to put these action points on because sometimes you do a whole load of stuff and then it's really difficult for me to see who's got some left. Right, so 21, the guy goes first, so he is going to try to cast that spell at you. His skill roll is 60 in folk magic, and he gets 34, Gulliver, if you wish to do a reaction to that.
So if I drop my spell casting now, do I lose the magic for it?
No, the magic is always comes out at the end as you finally cast it.
He's going to be casting it, but when he sees this person doing a spell and he drops the spell that he's casting, and as the guy does his spell, Gulliver's just sort of like point at him with his fingers crossed, and you just hear him say "Trevor" as he casts this spell.
Okay.
Which is avert, and I get a critical.
Yeah. So you what you actually see, you see this symbol sort of like this rune start to whack across the room towards Hengist, who's disarmed and fighting 3. And as it comes about, you cast your avert, and you sort of like send out your water magic that almost like forms a shield in it, and it just sort of like hits it and dissipates it. It just can't get through that avert water shield that you do magically. And
do I know what spell it was that it was casting?
It was make a sorcery.
Could I make an order the Kraken
yes.
Passion?
Yeah, you can, because you know what this. No, yeah, yeah. No, I'm going to. You know it. It was your Tyre's spell. It was just his. Okay. The words will just be the same. It's just how he manifests itself. Okay then. So sorry, I did that out of turn. That was 18, but 21. We have some combat down here. So first way round, so this guy is going to use his action to thump you again. These are all 60s. 98, he misses. So that's it. This guy will try to hit you with his club. This is 60 as well. 37 hits.
Can I try and parry with my unarmed? Oh, what did you get? Sorry, did you get a 38?
37.
37.
You can parry with your shield.
Yeah, I'm just thinking if I do that, then that stops the ward location.
It does, yes.
Yeah, he's going to try and parry with his shield.
Okay then. So roll your normal combat roll.
63.
Yeah. So that you parry it and you just hear his fist go right the way in. I just need to check my table because my.
This is a huge shield because it's got the Amriel Aegis shield on it.
I think it would just absorb it all.
I can link it if you want.
I've got it here. It's all right because I'm small, and defend. No, you're large, aren't you? Yeah, so you just block it all as it goes in, and then finally this guy hits you or tries to hit you with his club as well, and he gets a 38, so that will hit. What do you wish to do?
No, I'm not going to parry that one.
Okay then. So he will. His special that he'll use will be press advantage. So you can't attack your next turn. I know you still got that on, but he's likely to sort of like keep it up, so you can't attack them. So this will be a hit location of 9.
9. That's my abdomen.
Oh, nice. And he will do 5 points of damage to that. It will be
That's dead on my armor value.
Yeah, so that is just sort of like absorbs that, and then that's them done. So we're down to you now, Hengist, on 17. I think you've got what, 2?
I've got 2 action points left.
Yeah.
My question is, where's my sword? Is it at my feet, or is it across the room, or is it out of the combat area? Because my idea is to try and stoop and pick it up if possible.
So if you stoop and pick it up, my next attacks on you will be easy. I think if you're...
Or is that how it works? Okay.
Yeah, so I think if you're prone, because technically you're going to be prone.
Okay.
You're not helpless, but yeah. So my attacks on you will be at easy rate, because you're literally bending down to pick something up as the next load of attacks go. Oh, let me get grappling up. All pile on, they say. And the mage comes down.
Oh, goal!
The referee shouts, "More!"
Yeah. So what would you like to do?
In that case, is it alright if I try and punch someone in the face with a shield?
Yeah, you can use
instead of trying to
yeah. So who would you?
You
can't.
Do that,
No, because you.
Oh no, I can't. No, I can't.
You're pressed advantage.
Thank you, Medivac. I, in that case, will take a reactive action to parry.
Yeah. So you would just delay your action.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay then. So now we nip outside. To you, Hasra.
I'm going to pull my spear out of this. I'm going to plant my foot. He's tied up now. Plant my foot in his arm and pull the spear out.
Okay, go for it. 38.
Oh no, it's not. Ignore that. Well, it's gone past anyway, but I still have my 14 on there. So, oh no, that'll be still going, won't it? Anyway.
Yeah, that'll still. So you yank your. How much damage did you do to him?
You want half of? Do you want me to roll it again, or?
No,
I did 7 damage. So
7. So I'll take 3 points of damage. Yeah. So you just sort of like healed him up, Bartleby, and then all of a sudden Hasra yanks this thing, and you sort of.
Haven't they just done all this with Bartleby?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have. Yeah.
And that's 16 done. So Gulliver, we are back to you. Inside.
Okay. Gulliver
This is number 2 on your casting thing, isn't it?
No, I lost it because I.
Oh
cast
yes,
a reactive action. So Gulliver's going to cast a quick spell. He's going to do tire at one of the ones which is armed with a club.
Okay, so probably the closest one to you.
Yeah, whichever one. He's not.
Yeah.
No.
Okay then. So I'm fine with that. And then we come back outside to Bartleby for 9.
I expected that was going to happen. I think Bartleby didn't know how much blood the person was losing, so to stabilize. Could I use my healing skill to begin treating that injury?
Yeah, the only thing about that is the time element.
Yeah, 1 to 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna wave my hand and give a begging to Amriel. Make this problem go away. Bloodshed.
I've already done it once.
She already hates me. I'll use my last point of luck to switch that around.
Okay then, so he's now unconscious but healed, without and tied up but without a spear in him. Cool.
And held to the ground and tied up.
Yeah, and held fast to the ground.
I
So
got my spear back in him.
we are now going on to combat round 4, turn 2. So we're coming back to the top of the combat round, and 21. And you notice that this guy sees that you've blocked his spell, Gulliver, and heads up the stairs and disappears. And then we're down here for some combat here. So this first one here is an unarmed, because he's just whacking with his hand. 45 will hit.
No, Hengist is not gonna parry.
Okay, so he's going to use his special to do a flurry. And so, oh no, he can't. Sorry, he'll just because he doesn't have any action points left. So he'll just press advantage again. So that's to your 8.
That's my abdomen.
Was it Flat Battery's character that did flurries?
Yeah, and he does 2 points of damage there. And then the next person along swings with his and misses with an 88. And then the final one here swings with his club and gets a 41, so he'll hit.
Hengist will try and parry.
Okay,
Parry
go for
that
it.
one. His shield.
Yeah, that
48.
that hit. So he whacks against the shield, and there's a shock of Amriel's light as it comes off it. And Hengist, you won't be able to do anything because of the how many? Yeah.
Yeah, I've got one action point left, but I can't do anything, so he'll delay his action in case something else happens.
Then we're back outside, I think. Yeah, for Hasra.
Yes, indeed. So Hasra, hearing all this commotion inside, will now run. Oh well, he'll move. Doesn't need to run. Up here, so you can see inside the door.
So you can get So Gulliver is stood in the doorway. So you'll probably not move through him
No.
at this point, but you can. Have you still got your torch?
Torch one hand, spear in the other.
So when you were pulling, you were just doing it one-handed.
That's why it's caused so much damage to Bartleby.
Yeah.
I was using my teeth.
Yeah. So you were right there. So Gulliver, you're up on 13.
Gulliver is going to he's going to start casting a spell. He's going to do this one again. I'm going to do it there, and I'm just putting it in. Range is going to be 1.
I can hear like a heavy beat.
That's me. Sorry, I'm not muted. Sorry, I'll
Yeah, it's going to be 3 turns.
3 turns, okay then. So do you want to put your little counter on and just put 3 next to it so I know? Yeah. So that'll be 3 turns, and then back outside for it does sound like sonar. You're right, Darth. Back outside for Bartleby on 9.
Bartleby is going to follow the action and walk up or hustle over to Hasra.
Yeah, this guy looks like he's totally safe. So just for the ease, I'm going to move you all on to the other map just for ease now, so we don't need to keep going backwards and forwards. Okay then, so that was turn 2. This is turn 3 for anybody who's got combat actions left or actions left that they can actually use. My barbarians are out. My thugs are out. Hengist, you can only
Hengist is now out because that would have turned into a dither.
Okay, got you. And so next up is Hasra.
Now,
So just so you know, when you arrive at the door, you can see Gulliver's casting a spell. Yeah. You can still move through him. That's enough. You can see Hengist. He's disarmed, and he's fighting. He's only got his shield, and he's fighting 3 individuals that are thumping him and whacking him with this with their clubs. Yeah.
So in which case, Hasra will move through Gulliver, try not to disturb him as he does so, and he'll move to, I can't see where the first individual he comes to.
Okay.
Oh,
cool.
I'm in. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll move up to there to engage.
Okay then. Gulliver.
So Gulliver, I'm out of actions because I counter spells.
And Bartleby, I think, will be out of actions as well.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the end of combat round 4. So Hasra, Gulliver, and Bartleby, you need to make fatigue rolls. So you're one higher again, which means what's my colour for that? I have colours for each one of them now. Oh, that's a nice pinky colour. There you go. Let me just turn it off the yellow, because otherwise you look like you've got a crown on.
I was going to try to put the 3 in it, but I couldn't work out how to put a 3 in.
All you do is that you you hover over the green, and instead of left clicking, press the 3 button.
All right.
Okay. Does that work?
Right. Because I've already spent a round doing it.
Yeah, so it'll just be 2 now. So don't click the green button, just hover over it and then press the 2.
It don't work.
There you go. Okay then. So this will be the thuggies first. So let's give them all their 2 left. And now that their leader has gone, they do need to make willpower checks. Let me just check my willpowers on them. Oh, do you know, I must have known when I was making these up. 98 willpower. That's cool, isn't it? They're not really. They're 33. So that one's failed. The other reason they're doing it now, by the way, is because it looks like the leader's gone, but the tide is changing. You know, there's now 3 people, so it's equal odds, and no ruffian likes equal odds.
This party reminds me of the cavalry, always turning up late. Well, all minus Gulliver. Gulliver's turned up on time.
Sorry, I was too busy putting in spears and taking them back out again.
And as Hasra, and they could probably see Bartleby at the doorway as well, and they suddenly realise that they're outnumbered. And why have I got somebody's? Oh yeah, that's it. It's better now. They realise that they're outnumbered. Plus their leader has gone, even though they've got you disarmed. They notice that other people are arriving with spears and lanterns waving around. So they literally at this point drop their clubs and just sort of like put their hands up and say, "Well, we won't fight. We won't fight." Yeah, Hasra's got like a bloody spear because it's been in and out of lots of people, and it's so...
He's probably got a fine veil of blood as well.
Friend
When he
and
pulled
foe.
the knife out of Bartleby as well.
yeah,
Like, covering the blood
and
as well.
so they actually throw down their weapons, and or in the case of this guy over here. Who doesn't have a weapon, they sort of like throw their weapons down and sort of like say, "No, we give up, mate. We give up. It's not worth our lives over this." Okay, so we will take it that all three of you will drop out to combat turns now. You can rearm.
Okay.
But your Hengist, your Amriel's shield will.
My shield has dissipated.
Yeah, so they sort of like move. They're now not armored. They're not. They haven't got their weapons anymore, and they sort of like you usher them along to this sort of like on the table. So they're sat on the table on the bench with their backs to the table now. So what? Yeah, what would you like to do?
I'll take the rest of the rope out of my backpack that I've not used, and I will tie each one of them up, hands behind the backs.
Yeah, they sort of like says, "You're not handing us over to the city guard, are you?"
We have a few questions for you first, and perhaps how you answer them is how you will be dealt with.
Roll your influence roll for me.
I shouldn't have done that, should I? No.
He's the one.
Well, I tell you, I'm going to use a point of luck, and I'm going to pray my last point of luck, and I'm going to re-roll because I'm angry. I you know. No,
It's sort of like the
the
one next to you, so like turns and looks at you and says, "We're not scared of you in your pajamas." And so sort of like they seem to be more focused on Hengist and Gulliver, because Gulliver, they've seen you cast magic and block the spell of their leader, and Hengist was battling on even when he was disarmed. He was still there fighting away. So they sort of like says, so they Hasra says, "You will do as I tell." This what? Who are you? And so like take their avert their attention back and say, we're innocent. We were just hired. That's all. You please.
Hengist will say, "The ringleader's gone upstairs. I'm going to go after him," and then he's going to make his way upstairs to see what he can.
Yeah, so you pick up your sword and resheath it, and then head upstairs, which leaves Gulliver and Bartleby here. So Gulliver and Bartleby, what would you like to do?
You go first, Bartleby, because I'm just checking something up.
Oh, thank you. I wanted Barley would gesture to Hasra and say, "Could you get the other one from outside?
Yeah.
Bring him in here, perhaps."
Yes, I think I shall. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So that's just a free action, Bartleby. So you've still got your action left.
Who do you work for?
Who do you work for? Off you go. Roll your influence.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that wouldn't be oratory at all. Wow.
Roll your perception for me, just quickly. Yeah, what one of them says to you, we're not listening to you, manky hands. As he looks there, and another one shouts out, "We enjoyed your cash, by the way." And just at that moment, you recognise one, maybe two of them, as people who you tackled in the Can you tell me what Bartleby, what was the pub called, the tavern that you're in?
Oh, what was it? The Sow's Legs.
I think it was the Sal's Open Legs.
Yeah, the
That was.
Yeah.
It was very suggestive.
Yeah, Bartleby, you sort of like, what? And Gulliver.
Can Gulliver wants to just look over the three, and does one of them see sort of almost like slightly more nervous than the rest, almost like putting on a...
The one that probably looks more... Roll your insight. Yeah, the one down on the south who got disarmed, he's probably the youngest looking one. He doesn't have so many cuts and scars, and he keeps sort of like looking at the other two and almost like mimicking what they're actually doing. So when one says, yeah, mangy hands, he's all like goes, yeah, mangy hands, like that. As he seems to be more copying rather than having his...
Gulliver's going to go down to him, and he's going to just stand in front of him, and he's going to put his hand on his shoulder, and he wants to make sure that the guy's looking at him, and when he knows he's looking at him, Gulliver's going to close his eyes, and he wants to cast a spell, and when he opens his eyes again, all his eyes are going to be sort of like watery.
Yeah.
And the spell I want to cast is, and he'll get a roll for this.
I'm thinking it's telepathy.
Yes, it is. I haven't modified anything. So he's going to be able to resist it
with his willpower. Yeah.
Can I take minutes to do this?
Yes, you can by all means.
I don't normally like to take minutes, but I think it will build up the suspension as Gulliver just sort of like goes into it and suspense and sort of like stands in front of him and almost like just looks at him and then puts his hand on his shoulder, and then when he closes his eyes and opens them, there's that
watery effect. Just so you know, Hengist, you head upstairs. On up above, there's this here is actually a window up above as well, and you can see that there's some kind of rope that has been stretched between this building and the one opposite, into a window across there that you probably think that the guy shimmered across or crawled across or something like that.
Okay.
There's no sign of it up there. Yeah.
That's right.
Roll your, because you're tired, you're worn out, but you do summon up the strength. I have what is it?
A willpower.
Willpower. So my willpower's 33. And I get a 53, so I fail.
Okay. So Gulliver sort of like takes sort of like gets into the guy's mind, and he's going to say, even though his lips don't move, in the guy's mind, he's going to hear Gulliver sort of like saying, "I'm inside your mind. Your brain is mine. If you don't tell me what we want to know, then I'll destroy it. Who do you work for?"
Okay, so he can't react to that because he's failed the spell roll in any case, so he hasn't resisted it, so you got access to it. But what happens is that he sort of like, because you're looking at his memory, I think, rather than answering questions. So what you get is almost like visual pictures of his memory, sort of almost like
played back from
and when you sort of like say that, I mean, the key phrase to me from what you just asked there is, who are you working for? And you see various sort of like vignettes, little scenarios happening, and each one there's a sort of like a zoom to each one of them as you go through. And the first one, you see the people, he's with these people and the person outside, and they're just laughing and joking, and they look across, and there seems to be is recognized as their boss, talking to the guy that you saw before. And then the next thing that you see is that they're actually joined the table with the boss and this other guy who's still got his cowl up at this point. And he sort of like, they seem to be talking about deals and monies and things like that. And he's sort of like, he's thinking about how good Nine Fingers is as a leader, as a boss, and that seems to be the guy. And there's sort of like some money exchanged, and you see them enjoying the money, but then actually getting some more money off Bartleby. And you see him, Bartleby, sort of like looking very worried and handing over his bag of silver, his pouch of silver, not to pay them. He's been almost like bullied out of it. And you see them afterwards laughing and joking, and then you sort of like see little snippets of the thing. So the people.
Do I see what happens to the cart?
No, you don't. Your initial question was, who are you working for? If you want to ask another question,
that will be the next question.
Then I will resist again. There is something else that you catch.
Don't catch anything about the person that
yeah. So let's do the next bit first, and then we'll go back to that. What's the next bit? What's your next question that you wanted to ask?
Well, I want to see whether or not.
Where did the cart go?
I want to know where the stuff they took from the ship.
Yeah. So how we will play this, I think, is a good way. Is that as long as he fails his resist, then you can keep asking questions. As soon as he gets his resist, or somebody gets their resist, then that's when the link is ended. Then, so this
Did
is.
You type something to me then, by the way, because I didn't get anything.
I've got it ready to go when I'm ready.
I just saw it coming up.
Yeah, so he gets 88, so he fails.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the question? Sorry.
The goods from the ship. Where did they go?
You see the building that you're actually in, and you can probably see there's little outway there, and out there beyond that. Can you see the door beyond that?
I can't. No.
Well, just here there's another door, and there's a pier outside, like a wharf, and you see them piling the stuff onto like a small boat. Just make for me a perception check.
When you say they had been before Hengist came in, yeah? 19.
Sorry, what's that?
When you say they're putting it on, had they been doing it, or they?
Oh, they'd finished.
Right, okay.
Yeah, in it, and you recognise. It seems to be crates from the Herald. There seems to be about 6 or 7. The interesting thing that you actually see on it is that every crate seems to have some kind of black rune attached to it. Every single crate had a black rune on. There was no crates without a black rune on them. Once you finish your telepathy spell, then you can roll your runology to actually see whether or not you recognize the rune at all. But yeah, so the wagon's out there, and the boat the boat left.
So the boat's already left with the goods on it?
Yes, it was waiting there, and they knew it was there, and they literally came straight out to the back. Probably when you guys were making your way around, put it all on, but there was somebody ready in the boat, all ready to sail it off, row it off, and they literally rowed it off straight away, and then they came back into the rooms.
Okay.
You could probably see just here. There seems to be some kind of bedroom there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to break the link.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. The thing that you saw on the guy's hand, you just saw it as it peeked out at one bit. Basically it's just sort of like popped out and then came back in again, and
hate it when that happens.
yeah. What you see, can you see it?
Yeah.
Classic.
Is that on the guy's head?
And is that the thing that was on the...
No. This was a tattoo.
Right.
The stuff on the boat was definitely a rune.
And that was on the person that hired everybody.
It was the guy who escaped up at the end.
Right.
So when he reached down to put the coins down, the silver payment, his sleeve came back slightly, and you just saw it on the back.
Not 8 fingers.
No, 9 fingers.
9 fingers. Yeah. I thought it was 8 fingers and 2
No.
fingers. Right. Okay. So breaking the link, Gulliver closes his eyes and then opens them, and once again they're back to normal. And he's going to turn around and say, "They've already got the goods. They've gone. They went on a ship."
Probably a boat is a better description.
Yeah, he doesn't know the difference between a boat.
Hengist comes. Hengist, did you want to? Hengist, did you want to do anything up there?
So Hengist, seeing that the chap has got out of the house, is going to come back down the stairs because he's not going to be able to shimmy across in his heavy armor, and he's going to say to the room, "He got away."
Fine.
He's gotten away. He went over to the next building.
Well, can't we go to the next building and try to see if he's still in there? Mind you, I'm not there. You know that.
You are there, aren't you?
Yeah,
I was collecting a body.
Oh yes, that's come back in. Gulliver, you can see that there is a door out there, and it goes out to the. If I just remove the door for you.
All right.
So can you see it goes out onto a little wharf?
Okay. Gulliver wants to go out onto the wharf and look both. Sort of like look out into the harbour bit to see whether or not he can see.
Roll a perception roll.
See which way anything's heading, whether or not there's any lights or anything. No, 92.
No, you sort of like there's a bit of a sea threat out there. There's that rolling fog that is really low. If there was a big boat, you'll probably see the sails, but probably any small rowing boat is sort of like underneath it at the moment.
Okay.
So is there anything else you would like to do before meeting with Krytos?
Gulliver wants to. Oh, mind you, it's an hour and a half. What time is it now? It'd be about 10:30, 11 o'clock.
Well, yeah, probably nearer to 11, maybe half 11.
What time were we meeting?
Say again, sorry.
What time were we meeting?
At
Krytos?
dawn, aren't you?
Okay, so that we were saying what, 4 o'clock for dawn.
Yeah.
So 5 hours.
Hasra will stick his head out of the door into the street, and he'll try to have a listen, see if he can hear anybody running away or any noises from the other building.
Yeah, roll your perception. Yeah, you can't hear anything. There's a lapping of the sea against the rocks. You don't think, especially in a built-up area like this, you're not going to hear people running away, and there doesn't seem to be any sound of mischievous people around at all.
Gulliver's going to come back in, and he's going to go up to the same person that he questioned before, and he's going to say, "Do you know where they were taking the goods?"
Is this an
It's
influence?
it's not a telepathy one.
So it's an influence then.
It's an influence. I don't know whether or not I get an advantage because of the what do you call it?
So what do you want to ask him? Where they're taking the goods?
Did you know where
No, he doesn't know that.
I didn't think he would do.
No.
Whereabouts was this rune? Sorry, does anybody else want to do anything before I carry on?
No. Yes.
No, I'm just keeping a lookout outside.
Okay, cool. Which rune are you referring to?
There was markings on which I saw.
On the crates?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were just on the side of each crate, probably up in the top left-hand corner or something like that. It wasn't blazing. That's why you had to do a perception check. It was quite small.
Right.
And you're watching through his eyes as well.
Okay. So, can I do a runology to see whether or not I recognise it?
Yeah, by all means. Yeah, you figure it's something to do. It's in the same alphabet as the other runes for the Chaos Mother that you've seen. It's in the same one, and it has several meanings that it's interchangeable with. So it's a bit like if I say to you ride, that can mean like ride a horse, riding high. Something. Does that make sense? What?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what it actually says in it is it's the rune for darkness. It's also the rune for evil. It's also the rune for night. It's also the rune for impending doom. Anything, it's sort of like all tied up with this doom and gloom, forthcoming danger, darkness, night, things like that. It's not a nice rune. It's not. It's a bit like the one of the curses from Harry Potter's movie or something like that.
Okay.
Okay then. So at dawn, you take your hostages to the room as allotted to and indicated to you, and then what Krytos appears with his bodyguards, and how much are you going to tell him? Everything or nothing? What are you going to omit? If you tell me what you're going to omit, then I will then take that anything else that you haven't omitted is actually communicated.
Bartleby? Because you normally, it's better for you to say what you're going to admit, because you normally admit more than everybody else.
Well, I think everybody has certain things that they might want to talk about or not. Right. You know, so I mean, it's completely up to. I don't really want to go. What about you? What about you? Okay. What about you? It's just a question to all of you. Is there anything that you would like to omit when you talk to Krytos? Brilliant. Okay then.
Well, as you said, the tattoo which Gulliver.
Well, that would be Gulliver's decision.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I mean, I'm fine.
As
Okay,
far
brilliant.
as Gulliver's going to, say is that we'd come up with a plan to follow them.
Yeah, tell me what you're going to omit, because I'll just take everything that.
All right,
I mean,
yeah.
I'm not going to tell him that you split up or something like that. It's just that, for example, if you say I'm not going to mention the runes on the crates, then he will not have that information. But if you say I'm just going to say everything, then he will have that information.
We're going to say that. Well, I'm going to. I'm not going to tell him about the runes on the crates,
Okay.
but I'm say that it looked like they knew what they were going after on the ship.
Okay,
and
yeah, I understand that.
They picked certain crates, and I'll say about it looked like they were working for somebody else, somebody in a cowl, and that they had been employed. And their leader was Nine Fingers to do the thing. But
Yeah, and when you mention Nine Fingers, Krytos, there's that look of recognition. He actually seems to know this person and looks at the guards, and he sort of like mutters to you, yes, we know of this criminal that works the area. He has quite a significant gang, shall we say.
But Gulliver wants to make sure that he's aware that it wasn't just a simple snatch and grab. It was well planned. There was a ship waiting by. It wasn't due to our incompetence at all.
Yeah. Well, he sort of like is quite impressed that you managed to save keep alive 4 ruffians. I think that was.
It was 4, yeah.
Yeah. So you would be getting your 1,000 silver coins between you all, plus you will get 400 silver coins for keeping 4 of them alive. So if you take that, each of you gets 100 silver, and then work out the 1,000. How are you going to do that as a party? Krytos seems very pleased with the outcome. He's a bit disappointed that his goods have disappeared again, but he's really interested about that they were sailed away, they were taken away, and that it was a well earned, it was a well prepared, it wasn't just a snatch and grab, it was. And that he sort of like says, I think that actually infers that there's much more going on here than ever before. And you sort of like acknowledge that. He says he's quite happy with your actions. He says obviously next time it would be beneficial if you he does it, he wants to be honest. He is disappointed that he's lost some goods, but he is quite happy that you managed to capture so many ruffians. So it's almost like saying you did a good job, but it wasn't a brilliant job. But he's quite happy to hand over the money to you, and you sort of like his bodyguards then sort of like lift up or grab by the scruff of the neck 2 of these thugs each, and sort of like you can hear them saying, it's a city guard for you ruffians, and leads them off, and Krytos sort of like waves goodbye. And you return back to your abodes and probably get some well-earned sleep. And just to conclude this, before I give you some experience rolls ready for next week, there's a little prologue. And the little prologue happens when Bartleby, you're in your church, the Order of Amriel, when somebody comes rushing in saying that somebody's really ill and they really need a healer, and you say it seems to be one of the bluebirds, the people who run around giving messages, and you sort of like volunteer because you're going back to the slums, and you're sort of like thinking, I want to overcome my fear about that. And it's not the open sales legs that you go to. It's a dingy, small. It's small, but a little bit more upmarket than the open sounds legs. It's called the Clattering Spider, and you're taken up to a room, and there's the only thing in the room is just the bed, a stool, a wash basin, washing bowl and things like that. But lying on the bed, you see that it's the cultist that you saw beforehand, and you notice that he seems to have almost like a grimace on his face, almost like as in agony. And you also notice that round his mouth there's a slight amount of froth and foam, and in his hand you can see his hand sort of like down to one side, and you can see the tattoo of Jeremiah there, and you can see that his hand's sort of like fallen open, and on the floor is what appears to be some kind of a potion bottle. It seems to be very dark. There seems to be no liquid in it or anything, but it seems to have had a rubber top that had a piece of string attached to it. And you're with your mentor or a more senior member of the church, and he sort of like comes up and pronounces that the person is dead. And just out of curiosity, the tavern owner says, "But how did he die? How did he die?" And he just looks up and says, "He poisoned himself." And that is where we will end the session. So well done. You've been paid, which is always good. And you will have a grand total for... how many sessions have we had? 3? Or 2?
2, I believe.
You had the first one that you did experience and a roll, didn't you?
Yeah, and we started. So
you started it, and then you had last week, and then you had this week. Okay, so for
20.
If we say for the 2 adventures, if we get 2 for the first session and 2 for this session, so for last week, the one before that was hardly a session. It wasn't really. It was mostly experience. So we say 2 and 2. So Hasra, Bartleby and Gulliver will have 4 experience rolls, and then Hengist, you'll have 2 experience rolls because you will got 1 and 1. Okay.
Yeah.
So at the beginning of the next adventure, you can spend that if you wish. I know for people like Bartleby and Gulliver, that's only 4, so it's not worth a new spell or anything like that, and unless people have got skills points hanging over, but that will then give me a time delay. So if anybody's wanting to learn a new skill, if you can let me know in the chat, in Discord, private message me, because then I can make sure that the next adventure is a little bit later. So yeah, well done. You seem to have dealt with the ruffians and maybe got some idea what might be actually going on. So just some comments from the chat for you.
Guys suck.
Wave that bloody spear, Hasra. Oh, it's a 9 fingers band. Cool spell, that telepathy. Gully finally gets some success with his rolls. The plot thickens. Exciting. This gets better and better. Yes, indeed. I want these to go on another hour in the evening. No. It's so engrossing. So, yeah. So, some really good comments. Now, please remember, if you like watching the game, then we will be playing again on Thursday at 7 o'clock. So, the same time as we start. But we are going to be playing a 1980s spy, Cold War spy. It's the same system, it's the same Mythras, but with instead of clubs and knives and spells, there's no spells involved, there's no psionics or anything like that. But there are 9mm automatic pistols and things like that. So it's a bit now for the players. That's PS4, isn't it, or is it Xbox?
For the players, it's in the game.
EA, isn't it?
Is it? Yeah, I've just seen it on an advert. So just to remind,
for the players is the PS launch advert.
Right. So just to remind you all, please have a look at the Google document that I sent to you all via email. It has new actions, okay, that you can actually do in whether or not that would be a proactive or interactive. Please check the specials because some of them are still there, like bleed, but it's different. And there's a whole load of new specials as well. The combat system goes according, just like this. So you will shoot. We can't parry shots. So most of your parrying is evading. And remember, you would need an action point for that to evade out the right way. If you have any questions about that, please let me know before Thursday so we can get straight into it. Does anybody else have any announcements to make?
I don't.
Cool. Great stream again. Probably drop by. Thanks again, Chugawugga, for the gifted sub. Well, thank you to everybody who's come along and joined us today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you got a feel about how combat actually works. Well done to the players. Good, successful adventure. So we will see you all tomorrow. I'll be streaming ESO at 2 o'clock as normal, and then you will see me again with this group again on Thursday for some White Death, it's called. It's quite a good front cover. This is what it looks like.
It's the thing.
Yeah, I just can't wait to do a 9mm shot at you. Choose location head. because
mine would be duck behind cover.
Yeah, but I mean, it would literally just dead. Then that's it. So excellent. So thank you for watching. We will see you all next time, and until then, have fun role playing. See you all later, people. Bye. Hang on.